So obviously on this channel I don't really review films, but I thought it would be a great idea to review Nose, the new documentary about Dior's in-house perfumer Francois Demachy. So if you want to find out all about Nose, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, I was excited about this documentary. I heard about it about a month and a half ago. And, you know, as soon as it was available for purchase at Amazon, I put it, pre-order. And then, I bought it and it was finally available for me to watch. And I actually watched it twice just to make sure I understand the film, because it was a little all over the place when I was watching it. Plus, it's mostly in French, so you're reading a lot of subtitles and things like that. But, I enjoyed what I saw, but there are some criticisms about the film, and I'll let you know what they are. But before I do, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And once again today, there is another video coming up later today. It's my Saffler Bond review video for a new fragrance from a niche house, so stay tuned for that. There is a giveaway over at Saffler Bond as well. But let's talk about Nose, the new documentary all about Francois Demachy. It's all about him sourcing the raw materials from all over the world that he uses in his perfumes. So basically the documentary starts off right in the where he goes to in Indonesia, in Sulawesi, where the patchouli fields are. Apparently it takes 3 days to get there. So I like that it starts there. It's my favorite note, and I think it's a very, very important note in perfumery, so it makes sense that it starts there. And throughout the film he goes to various different harvests for different notes that he's working with. And of course they do jasmine, they do rose, and they do iris, and orange blossom, and a few other notes. So it's interesting that he's all over the world and just going from one place to another, and back to Dior Headquarters. There's all these artistic shots of him smelling things and things like that. So the patchouli is in Indonesia is the way the film starts, and then it cuts to an intro, like very kind of a spy-like music with a kind of like a James Bond introduction. So I thought this is going to be a great film. It starts off with patchouli in Indonesia, and then we've got this kind of like very hip 60s lounge, spy lounge kind of music, but more modern, with this kind of like naked girls that are kind of like blacked out or darkened that they do in James Bond films. So that's how it starts, and I got very excited because the music was great and things like that. And then Dior Headquarters, and there's all these shots of people talking. Most of it is in French, some in English, and then we get to the point where we're starting to focus on notes, the top notes, the heart notes, and then the bass notes, and then the conversation turns to music, and how music is with notes, and also the perfume creator is doing the notes as well, and how it's not about just throwing things together and creating a fragrance, obviously, because the perfumers take a long time to work on the fragrances, and they have to source all those raw materials from everywhere and things like that. So it's all understandable stuff, but the cuts are so fast, and we're going from one part of the world to another part of the world, and in French mostly, as I said. I don't have any problem with French. I wish I could speak it, but it just felt like it was just fast-paced, too fast-paced for something that I wanted to learn from. And it was not a film for education. I thought it was more of an entertainment film, because the soundtrack to the film was very, very upbeat and very young and hip. So I felt like they were kind of treating Francois Demachy like a rock star, like a perfume rock star, and trying to appeal to the younger generation, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know if this was a documentary that was instigated by LVMH Dior, but why select Francois Demachy as the star of a film about perfumery? Why not Francis Kurkdjian or something like that, which I think he is more of a rock star in comparison to Francois Demachy. But we go through many different scenes. We're in Grasse a lot, lots of great shots. I mean, the photography was amazing. We're going through all these beautiful roads and along the coast. You know, I've traveled all over the south of France and Grasse and things like that. So it was great to see all these shots, very, very artistic shots. And it's a very artistic film, but I felt like structurally it was a little off. I mean, too much jumping around and you can't really learn. So that was one of the reasons why I watched the movie twice, to understand it a little more, because the first one I was just like watching and trying to understand it all and take it all in, you know. As a visual film, I think it's a great visual film, but it does take some views. Plus, if you want to be educated, I don't think this is a film to be educated about. It's kind of like just dabbling in the idea of perfumery. But back in the south of France, it does mention perfumers, almost like they were saying something like, well, perfumers should be born in Grasse, and then they can basically take on the reign of, like, you know, being the person behind a brand like Dior's, a perfume industry and kind of thing. So they were saying that. And then in Grasse, where Francois Demachy works, I think, there's also Jacques Cavallier, who's in the film quite a bit. He, of course, is right next door, or next to Francois Demachy, both Dior. Of course, Francois Demachy does Dior, and Jacques Cavallier does Louis Vuitton. God, I'm drawing a blank. But all of that stuff, you know, I think it was fine. It's just it was fast paced. I enjoyed hearing Jacques Cavallier speak, because I usually don't hear him. I do hear more from Francois Demachy, and I think Francois Demachy has been around a lot longer than Jacques Cavallier. But one of the things I thought was unique was Patrick Lillis, the Ambergris guy who I had met 4 years ago. I have a photo on my Instagram of him holding up this big piece of ambergris. That was one of the other notes that they were explaining in this film, Ambergris, which I had forgotten. But Patrick Lillis was featured, and they're talking about how expensive the ambergris is and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a unique thing to know someone in the documentary. But of course, we went to the jasmine harvest. We went to the rose harvest. One of the most unique things was visiting Robertet, where they're distilling all the raw materials. That was great to see inside the factory or the facility that it's all done in. So that was a great, I mean, I'm criticizing the film a little bit, but all the visuals were amazing. To see all of that work, to see all the flowers being picked, the jasmine flowers, the roses, the orange blossom, all of it is amazing shots, you know. But I just felt like they were cut too fast. Each scene wouldn't kind of like climax to the next scene, so they were kind of abrupt cuts, which makes sense if you're going to try to appeal to the younger generation, I guess. You got to have these like fast-paced cuts with very, very upbeat music and things like that. So seeing the Robertet distillation was great. And of course, we also head to Calabria for the bergamot harvesting and distillation. That was always cool. I mean, seeing all those fruits come off the trees and things like that was just awesome. So, you know, seeing that kind of stuff was really, really, I think it paid off. Other than that, I think the iris butter, and then few scenes in Japan where there's these ingredients from Japan that Francois Demachy was smelling. But I mean, other than that, I think the documentary ended pretty quick. There's a lot of celebrities in the documentary where Francois Demachy is hobnobbing with these famous celebrities, and of course probably models, a lot of models that, or spokesmodels for Dior that he's doing you know, photos with and things like that. So do I recommend the documentary? Yes, of course I recommend the documentary. I recommend it because it's all about perfumes, and visually it's a stunning documentary. I don't think it was edited perfectly. I think it's a lot of abrupt cuts, and I think a lot of the music that, I mean, I'm a music person, I work in music industry, but I just felt like musically it just felt a little off, too fast, too energetic for something that is about perfumes. So those are my criticisms about the film, but I do recommend you seeing it. One of you did mention, when I had spoken about this documentary in my question answers video from last week, told me that it was on iTunes for $14.99. I purchased it for $19.99, so I'm not sure why iTunes was cheaper than Amazon, so find a better price for it, I guess, or maybe it'll go on sale or something, I don't know. But I kind of wanted to get a jump on it and, you know, take action and watch this film as soon as possible. Because, you know, after being into this hobby, I'm intrigued with all this stuff, and seeing all of the harvesting and the cultivation of all this raw materials was pretty amazing. And the fact that the documentary starts off in Indonesia for the Patchouli fields, that just makes it all wonderful for me to experience, because that is a note I think will always be a very, very important note in perfumery, and the smell of patchouli is just really fantastic. One of the things that Francois Demachy was doing was smelling a lot of raw materials. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but there's a lot of smelling going on, not only from the raw materials but also strips, you know, the little strips, the moyer that people, you know, use to smell. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this film. I do recommend you see it. Find a better deal than $19.99 or even $14.99. I think $9.99 is a pretty good price. I'm owning it, that's why I was able to watch it a couple times, so I'm not sure how the iTunes thing is. And I don't even know if you can rent it. If it's rentable, probably it's even better rather than owning. It'll be cheaper. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Have you guys watched this documentary? Does it sound like a great documentary to you? Are you a fan of Christian Dior's fragrances and Francois Demachy's creations? Let me know. Put some comments down so I can find out. Either way, as I said, there is a second video today. Please stay tuned for that later on. Otherwise, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.